to me, being relentless is, I mean, that's everything. I mean, if you don't take a stand in your life and become a relentless person, a determined person, you just, it just can't happen for you. And so anyways, approval addiction.
You're gonna fail.
Well, yeah, you're going to fail. And
Right.
probably a lot of people fail because of approval addiction. What does that mean?
Yeah. So the C in fierce is to crush approval addiction.
Okay.
You know, and especially with women, you know, I work heavily, you know, I've got a radio show on iHeart, a lot of things, you know, towards women. And, you know, we're all so worried. Do you like me? Do you like what I'm wearing today? How does my hair look? Like, what, you know, I can't go out and make that sales call. I can't go out and do this today because I'm worried about what someone might say, you know, my hair, whatever. It's like approval addiction to me is just one more excuse as to why people will not be successful. But you've got to learn to crush approval addiction. If you're truly walking in where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, you can't worry about what everybody else says about you. And at our level, Daniel, you and I've got trollers. It happens. People go out there and they just want to, you know, they don't like, sometimes people don't like people like you and I. We're very public. We're very out there. And so, you know, the trollers want to come in and they want to say, oh, well, this about, and it's like, you know what? Forget about it. You know, I can't worry if somebody in the social media realm doesn't like me, or if a journalist takes me down or whatever. I can't worry about it because I'm going to do me. And that's what I tell people, do you, and don't worry about what other people think, as long as what you're doing is legal, ethical, and moral.
I love that. And I love the way you said that, because I've been saying that for 20 plus years. I mean, no kidding. I said, look, I don't care. As long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I will do it. And I will get the job done any way, anyhow. I need to get the job done.
Exactly. Legal, ethical, and moral.
That's it. That's it. Just, it's a mindset, right? That's it. So I love it. And I think that the you know, honestly, the addiction approval is a disease today.
It is.
It really is. People are afraid. Like, I have agents. I run a financial services company as well. And I have 1,500 licensed agents that work in my organization. Wow. And there are some of my agents, because I'm trying to get them involved in social media, make their presence more known, and they're afraid to make a 15-second video on their story on Instagram. If it's not filtered perfectly, if it doesn't look perfectly, if it does, it's like they're frozen, paralyzed by approval addiction.
Right. It's fear. It's approval addiction. You know, and I love that you said that, because, you know, you and I both know sometimes you just gotta hit click. And I will say to your agents and to your listeners, nobody wants to watch a Hollywood production on Insta. People want to see the raw and the real. And every single morning when I get up and I do my show, I have my hair in a fierce baseball hat. I usually don't have very much makeup on. Who the hell's ready at 6:45 a.m. in the morning? Nobody. So, you know, it's the real me. And that's why it's 15 minutes. And I think, you know, and we don't boost it. We don't throw it out there. I figure the people that want to watch it and they follow it. And I've got a pretty big following, but I want it to be the real me, because that is the real me at 6:45. It isn't having my hair and makeup team having me ready so I can present for 15 minutes. Cause then I wouldn't connect with that audience in the same way. And so I would really challenge your agents and your listeners to go out there and just get real. People buy you. They buy the real you. They don't buy your hair. They don't buy your makeup. They don't buy the clothes. Well, they kind of buy the clothes you wear. I won't lie. I do. I am a very big believer. You have to show up for the job you want. But that being said, with the exception of that, you know, it's getting real and it's making that human connection. And you know, I spent many years in the financial services business. I did sell off my financial services business, but I did. And the more that I found, the more successful I got is when people got to know me, the real me. And I think that that's critical, because the number one thing that your agents, I mean, they're selling trust. Forget all the financial services stuff. I mean, you know, they're selling trust, and trust doesn't happen unless you've got a connection between two people. And that connection needs to be between the client and the agent. And once you can make that connection, then you probably have a client for life. But nobody wants the Hollywood version. I don't believe that, you know. So to me, that is a huge piece of success in the financial services business. You know, our mortgage company's been in business for 22 years, and we've got the same clients and agents and builders for 22 years. And but it is because, you know, we have taken them on the journey of life with us. When I was a car dealer, I mean, people I did mortgages for, you know, they bought cars from me. You know, they were not my mortgage client or my car client. They were my client, period. So no matter what I was selling, they were buying.
Love it.
Still
Love it. Love it. Execute. Yeah. How do we got to execute, man?
You just got to do it, right? I mean, how are you unapologetically fierce 365 days a year, if you don't execute? I mean, I don't know if you all have ever read the book, but my dear friend Sharon Lechter wrote it with Napoleon Hill Foundation, and it's 3 Feet from Gold. And the majority of sales professionals, and I speak all over the world on this, the majority of sales professionals stop 3 feet from gold. You know, they didn't make that one final call. They didn't do the follow-up. They were not relentless. They were worried that they had a bad meeting, so now all of a sudden they just backed away. You know, approval addiction, right? They're not taking the initiative for their own success. They stopped 3 feet from the gold. And the people like you and me were like, okay, good. They just got out of our way, and we're going to go for the kill. And
less competition, man. Less competition. When they decide to drop out, it's less people you got to worry about. I was actually just with Sharon a couple of weeks ago at her house, and I did her podcast. She interviewed me on her podcast. So I'm actually building a great relationship with Sharon. She's a wonderful lady. Friends. Yeah, she's amazing. So tell her next time you talk to her, say, hey, how'd you like hanging out with Daniel? So we had a great time.
He's a great lady.
All right, so tell me a little bit about. Come on, we've all made some mistakes. So tell me one of your mistakes, man. That if you could just go back and go, man, why did I do that? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, let's see. Yes, I mean, I probably have a lot of them. Not sure I want to share all of those on the podcast, but you know, I would say probably one of the mistakes that I made is when I actually wrote about it in my first book, because I failed as a leader. So my dealership, when I relaunched Fiat to the US, I was the first dealer in the country to bring the brand back, take the chance. And we opened up in a high-end shopping center, just an amazing place. And so I hired the anti-car salespeople. I hired women, I hired millennials, and I hired minorities, everything the car business doesn't want to see. And we had this great culture. Well, we were so successful, I ended up having to build a $9 million building in Austin and move out to a traditional setting, a traditional car dealership. And I had sold and built a reputation on as being the anti-car dealer. So when I had to make the move, I had to open up a service department. We had sold thousands of cars. Like, it was time, stuff was about to get real. We were no longer a boutique. We were number one in the country, very high profile. I did not prepare my team for the move. So I had this young millennial sales team, and I was just so caught up in building a building and staying number one and being on the national dealer, everything. I was caught up in me that I didn't do a good job transitioning my team. I ended up losing half of the number one sales team in the world, literally, because they broke the world sales record. I ended up losing half of them because they kind of got caught up in my dust, in my frenzy of everything I was doing. And because we had grown so fast, I was no longer that leader that I used to be when we were just small and together we were relaunching this brand and we were going to revolutionize the industry. Now I was a full-on car dealer. And I got into that mode, and I lost half my team, and I was not able to recover from that. Well, I mean, let me back up. Of course I recovered. I mean, we still stayed number one, but I had to go hire a new team. I had to reset expectations, and then I had a lot of apologies to give.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you know, people don't realize that us as leaders, really what we're in the people business.
Absolutely.
If you don't manage your people well and lead your people well and create a culture of family and trust and building, and it could be problematic. Would you agree?
It's devastating. I mean, it happened to me. Like, I was just like, I just knew one day we were moving from one building into this massive complex that I had just built. And, you know, and one by one, and they'd all talked about it. And one by one, they were coming in and resigning. Like, we're not doing this. This is you know, you're taking us to a space that you told us was bad. You told us we were, I was just like, oh my God, how did I miss the people? How did I miss the people? And I did. It was an epic fail.
What are some of the sales mistakes that salespeople make?
Overpromise and underdeliver. That would be number one in my book. not being knowledgeable about your products, and most importantly, not being knowledgeable about your competition's products. I know my competitors better than they know themselves. Those are my top three.
It's I'm actually writing this down. I remember when I first got into business, it was probably like my second or third appointment. And I went to go see a really, really successful person. She was a lawyer. And I remember she told me that. So when you said that to me, it just took me back 22 years or something like that. She said, under promise and over deliver. And that was it. And it just stuck with me so many years. It just stuck with me my entire career. And so pretty powerful stuff. Why do we need to know our competition? And why is that important?
Because the competition's out what we're out selling against. And so when I was in the financial, because I know that's the majority of your audience. So when I was in the financial services, in the mortgage business, I started an insurance company, right? I thought I'm just going to be the one-stop shop for all of my clients. So for example, we were a farmer's agency. That's the easiest one for me to remember. So, I needed to know what State Farm was up to and USAA and all of that, because, I was, what I was trying to do was move that book of business over. So, without taking down my competition, because I don't believe in bad mouthing. So without, I wanted to show how my products had more value than what they were paying for before. So I would know State Farm was just the one that I was able to always do really well against, from a cost standpoint and from a value prop standpoint. And so when I could break down and I could show the customer, hey, our product's 30% less expensive and we have 20% more coverage, boom, 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 boom. And they're like, oh, okay. Then I'll tell you, you earn their business. You truly earn that client's business. Number one. Number two, you keep their business because they're like, wow, you truly are an expert. You're an authority in what you do. And so knowing your competition inside and out better than they know themselves, because you can know that 90% of your competitors don't know what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. That's just the nature of the beast. You really build that authority brand. And when you're an authority in the financial services or the automotive industry, you have a customer for life. They don't go shop. They don't go out and they're not worried about an extra $100 on a policy or $50 a month. They're like, no way, no how. I have my expert. I have my consultant, whatever we call ourselves. And people don't leave you. They don't leave you. And that's a misnomer with salespeople. They're like, oh, I had salespeople, they're like, well, I'm going to work at the dealership across the street because, the cars are less expensive and people need lower payments. I'm like, then you're not doing your job. People buy you, and people are willing to pay whatever it takes to know that they can sleep well at night, to know that their homes are insured, to know that their investments for the future and their legacies are insured. It's never about the money. It's never about the money.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.